Hey, Dan Passarelli here. Well, if you've been watching the massive rise of NVIDIA stock lately, holy cow, I mean, I get a nosebleed just looking at the chart. Holy moly. And so when stocks get that high, a lot of investors have a hard time buying it. At least a lot of retail common investors. I mean, at $1,200 a share, that's just for one share. Holy moly. So what some companies do, not all of them, but some companies do, is to make their stock more liquid and more available to common investors, which can support the price of the stock, is they split it, which basically means they take the stock and they give you twice as many at half the price. Now with NVIDIA, it's actually a 10-to-1 stock split. That means for every one share of NVIDIA an investor has now, after Monday, June 10th, you'll have 10 shares of that stock at 1/10 of the price of what it was. Now, there's a couple really important things when it comes to dates, and especially when it comes to options, that I think are important to talk about. So tomorrow, Friday, June 7th, is the X date. So for investors who are holding this stock, any stock that you have tomorrow morning on the open, which I guess you could say today on the close, that is stock that will end up being split. And anything after that will be split, right? So if you own some today and you sell it before the close of business today, or if you sold it before the close of business today, then that is not relevant because you don't have it. Now, the most important thing to remember is this. The value of the company in economic theory, financial theory, and pretty much in reality doesn't change as a result of this split. Because if the stock is $1,200 and you get 10 shares at 120, 10 times 120 is 1,200. It doesn't matter. Now, that being said, many stocks do increase in value after the split because they're more accessible to common investors. Now, the question is, what happens to the options? That's an important question. Well, rest assured, it's basically the same thing with many splits, and it will be the same with NVIDIA. So for every one option that you will have 10 options at a strike price 1/10 the current value. So what does that mean? That means that if I exercise one call, if I exercise one call today, let's say the strike is 1,200, I buy 100 shares of stock at 1,200. After the split, I'm going to have 10 calls at 120, and if I exercise 10 calls at 120, I'm still buying $1,200 of stock a share times 100. So you might also ask, what happens to the price of those options? Well, that's where we have theory and reality, and there's really not too much difference in them. In theory, we can't tell you what the price of the option is going to be because the price of the options is determined in the free market by supply and demand. But logically, if the value of the company doesn't change and the value of what you control doesn't change, just 10 times as many at 1/10 the price, the premium should actually just simply be 1/10 of what it is now, and it probably is going to be something pretty similar to that. So I hope that helps. If you have questions, please put them in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Hope that helps. This is Dan Passarelli, Trade Smart.